In the previous tutorial, I showed you how you could bring up this list of the URLs that were harvested for the spider during the last run, and also suggested that maybe sometimes you want to exclude certain URLs from appearing and being used by the spider. An example of this might be that a certain web page is causing you problems. When you actually run the spider, you can see the URL of each page as it's analyzed, and sometimes you can get a page which causes a problem, and in that case it's a good idea just to exclude that page from the spider run and then rerun the spider. Let's suppose that this website here was causing a problem and I wanted to exclude it from the spider run. What I could do, just copy the domain and paste it in and then rerun the spider. Now this is a temporary ignore site list, and what happens is any URL or domain name that you put in here, if it appears in the list of URLs harvested by Google, then it will be ignored. I can show you that. Omega, let me do the same run as before, and I'll just leave it as meta tags because that will be a lot quicker, and I'll just run it, and then we'll have a look at the view last harvested Google URLs, and we should find that the WH Foods is no longer there. In fact, we can just watch it as we're going through here. Okay, let's go back to the spider, view last harvested URLs, and you can see that the URL that we entered into that temporary ignore box is not in the list. So that has been excluded then from the spider run. There is something else you can do, and this one here is just a temporary clear. It's just for the current run, and as long as you've got something in there, then it will be ignored for whatever you're running up here, for whichever root phrase. However, there might be sites that you want to permanently ignore when you're doing spiders, and to change or to set that option, let me just come up to the options menu up here. You can't actually see it because it's outside the left side of the window, but this option down here, number 4, is ignore list. If you click on ignore list, we've got ignore words and we've got sites to ignore when spidering. These sites that you put in here, let's say youtube.com, are permanent ignore lists. So that means that if YouTube appears in the top 10, then it's not going to be used to collect theme words from. So you've got the two options: permanent ignore up in the options ignore list, or temporary ignore just while you're doing a spider run down here. I tend to use this down here if I have problems with a spider run. It may be that there's a huge PDF file or something and the spider's not behaving properly, and I'll just put in here, I'd actually put PDF, and then because PDF appears in the URL, it will then be ignored and we won't have the problem when we run the spider. So that's how you can ignore sites from the URLs that Google that are ranking on Google if you don't want to include them in the spider feature and you don't want those pages being used to grab theme words from.